Celiana. Welcome to the
Thank
craft.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
To start with, what's going on in your cinematography world right now?
Um, I just finished a series um, for J.J. Abrams. I DP his last series in New Mexico, and um, and because we have the strike in between, I was involved in this series for a year and 2 months, more or less. And as you can imagine, it's a very long time to be involved in a project, and it was a very interesting project to do. It's period. It's called Duster, like the car, like the muscle car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all like action and chases, and it's very interesting. I hope it goes really really well, and that's what I just finished. And right now I'm just seeing what is next for me. Also, yeah, at this moment, as you probably are too, or we'll see what happened with Ajaxi and the Teamsters and the dogs and etc. etc. So I think it's a very good moment for me just to take a little break and see what's next. What is in the table. Thanks God I have some projects to choose from it. So I'm in that place right now.
Nice. You seem to be transitioning from only movies to more series than movies.
Yeah, it happened. Probably as you probably know too. For a while, my main thing was feature films, right? But then I was in this catch-22 of we love your work, but you don't have series, so I don't know how fast you can be, and blah blah blah. So I was in this for a while, for a couple of years, until I did a film in Toronto. Well, not in Toronto, but in Canada, where the producer had an idea of a TV show, okay, a series. And when I finished this feature film, he's like, Celia, we really like you to work with me, and this series is very important for me. But knowing what had happened before, there was not approved by the big networks and studios. I was like, well, I would love to do it, but in the experience that I had, it's been very difficult for me to be able to do it. But he fought for me and fought for me and fought for me and fought for me until CBC, which is the most important network in Canada, approved me. And from that moment on, everything changed. I did like a quantum leap in a different direction in my career. And I did that one, and it did really well. For me, I was nominated twice to kind of like the Oscar Awards of Canada,
Mm-hmm.
for best photography with this series, which it was tiny, like really small, but with a lot of heart and a lot of soul. I can tell you, and that opened the door for me for series. So now what I'm trying to do is I do a series, I do a movie, I do a series, I do a movie. But like I say, in this last year and 2 months, because I was in this project and I wanted to finish it. Besides, I was like stuck in a way on Duster. But yeah, now I think my next project is going to be a feature film.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about Dickstown? That series is
Absolutely.
Dickstown?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dixtown, I'm so proud of that project because it's the first TV show in Canada in the history of TV that it has a black woman as a female lead,
Mm-hmm.
and also a First Nation lead, and it's the first series deepened by a female in prime time. So yeah, a lot of things happened there. I feel really really proud of that show.
You were the first DP in Mexico, now the first DP in Canada. You should be very proud of yourself. You're a role model now. You know that?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm like the first one to put a camera, and DP in as a female. But definitely, I can tell you that I'm the first one to have a career, to have, a path that you can see that I have a career. So, yeah, I think that's why it's considered me the first female DP in the history of film in Mexico, you know. But yeah, and then I moved to Canada, and it happened to be, the first Latin American female, and now in the United States is, I'm not the first one or anything, but I'm one of the few Latin American female DPs that work now at the level that I work. So yeah, I'm very proud, and I promise you that I'm very conscious that I'm in a way opening the doors and helping, other female DPs from Latin America or around the world. I don't know, but I feel very, very proud to be doing that without trying. It just happened.
That's
you know.
wonderful.
Thank
So,
you.
how would you describe yourself as a cinematographer, if that's even possible?
Exactly. I think what it defines me. Well, as you probably know, and this is something that is hard for me to explain. I think just by me being Celiana and you being Juan, of course we don't see the same. You're from Spain, I'm from Mexico. Whatever is in the world that we grew up, what we listened, what we saw, it has defined part of our craft, right? Because I think the other part is who we are as a human being. I think cinematography for me is an amazing job because it's different from other jobs in the matter of older we get, better we get,
Yeah.
right? We get more experience, but also because I think we have more life experience. And all that, it has enriched me, at least, to give that, express that in my craft, right? I can tell you that I'm the kind of DP, I never talk about tools. When I'm presenting myself, when I'm auditioning for a job, what is important to me is how the story connects to me and how I can collaborate to give a part of me to the story. Emotion is the most important thing for me because why I love film, and what I decide to do what I do is because what it makes me feel. I wasn't, aware of, oh, that shot is great or that lighting is amazing. It's what it makes me feel. It makes me reflect. It makes me know parts of myself to allowed me to see worlds that I wasn't able to see before. And I think that's what is the main part of my creativity is I never approach a scene for how I see it. It's how I feel it. And I think we are as DPs, we're like these hard drives, that we have these files, right? And more than visual reference, because of all the movies that we have seen, is are files of my feelings, of my experiences. And I feel them, and then I can translate them through lighting, composition, contrast into the story. So I think for me is what is the main part for me. I have worked, and probably you do too, with first-time directors where they come and tell you, I don't know the camera, I don't feel very confident with, the language, the narrative. And for me is as long as the director can tell me what he feels in the scene, what this scene means emotionally for him or her, I can do it, and I can give options, and I can help him to translate that in my emotion through my tools, through my craft, which is lighting, composition, cameras, etc., movements, right? So I think that's what I can tell you that I feel that defines my craft for me. I'm pretty sure many DPs work like me, but it's something that I have been learning through my journey as a director of photography is to trust my feelings, to trust my intuition. And I think that's where it comes. I mean, for me, it's still magic. It's like how amazing it is to me that we start with a piece of paper, right? It's just letters and words. And when the director says, roll camera, my heart is pounding because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it with all the teamwork, right? We're seeing being captured now in reality. I mean, in a reality, bidimensional reality,
exactly,
but you know what I mean? Like, it's there. It has life. It has actors. It's a world. It's in a world that we created, and with the mood of the lighting, and it's just magic to me because we use the same tools: lighting, lenses, camera, and tools to move. But every single time looks different because I think it's the way we feel about the story that we translate it, and somehow it happened that it looks different because we use the same things, and how we make that happen it's just beautiful to me, and that's what I love of what we do.
That's very interesting. Very interesting and very true. I feel like it's. I am a DP that trusts his guts a lot too. I go by my guts more than technique. I obviously know the technique, as I'm sure you do, but then when I feel it here, it's like, oh, that's the way to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Or when it happened, I'm sure it happened to you too, that when you're reading the script, right? Of course, we see images in our head, right? And then you keep working, and with the director, you create the narrative, the language, the aesthetics, etc. But it happens sometimes that you just see it exactly how you imagine, right? From the first moment that you got the script, is the first encounter and that first image and the feeling, and then you see it on the set and everything. It's like, wow, it is exactly how I saw it. And it's even better, when the director comes to you and say, this is exactly how I imagine it. And that's when I feel like, yeah, that's a well done job, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So you are a Mexican person living in Canada and working in Canada and in the US. As myself, I'm Spanish and I'm working in the US, well, all around the world, but primarily in the US. Your life process, it's very different from an American person. You come from a very rich culture in
Correct.
not only historically rich, but the food, it's amazing. The art is amazing. The movies in Mexico are amazing. So, do you feel that plays in in your favor? When you are not in Mexico, you are the different one, but also the one who has an amazingly rich background. Is that something that you think of, or is just in you and it comes out and that's it?
No, I think it's definitely. For example, my mother was a sculptor and a painter.
Oh.
So I have an access to visual arts since I remember. Okay? Definitely the visual culture that we have in Mexico is definitely one of the richest in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you come, to Mexico, and we can talk about Mexico City, for example, it's chaotic visually, okay? Chaotic, right? You have the bougainvillea flower with the green roof, with a piece of something also in the roof, plus the cables, it's a disaster visually. And I always said that it was a great school for us, because to be able to frame in an harmonic way in this chaotic view,
That's
has
true.
helping me. No, it's true.
That's
And,
true.
we have colors. You have the pink house with the yellow house, but like I said, but then the tree, and then it's just so rich in so many ways, and it's so busy visually that in a way, Juanmi, I think it has helped us also to have a very distinctive eye. When I go to Canada, it's so organized, it's so clean. It's like, it's like very different. But also, I think as an immigrant, as a foreigner, seeing this, you see it differently too.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, what it has enriched the projects that I have done, that I have a very different approach to see something that I don't know, but that I have to help to put in the story. So when I think about it, and I've always asked this question because Mexican DPs is probably the most of all the directors. If you notice, is the thing that exports more
Oh yeah,
in the film
you
industry.
guys are
It
the
has to be
top
for
notch right now in the world. Yeah.
no. So is why, you know, uh, you know, El Chivo, Rodrigo, and are many other, Alexis Abe, Damian Garcia, etc., are many DPs. They come from this city, right? And then it's like, well, it's something in there that we have learned, that we have seen, that we have eat, I don't know, but definitely something that it makes us to see maybe in a different way, as a culture. I'm talking as a whole, right? So I definitely think that the visual culture that we have, it has enriched us in a way that is different, definitely.
Also, being an immigrant DP, I experienced this myself coming to the US and going to a city
Mm-hmm.
like New York to live and seeing stuff for the first time. Stuff that is over there
Mm-hmm.
for many, many years and the people there doesn't even look at it. And then you go and point at, oh, I love that. And they go like, what? Oh, yeah, it's cool. And
Yeah,
they haven't even seen it because it's there. And the opposite
it's there.
happened to me. I shot an American movie in Spain before I moved to the US. And the director was
Mm-hmm.
pointing to places where I was just overlooking at them because I've been watching them all my life and probably not looking at them all my life, just watching them, and that's just part of
Mm-hmm.
the landscape. And then he goes like, "I want to shoot there," and you go like, "Wow, okay, yeah, it's great." It was there, but I wasn't looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the beautiful things, right? That you always discovering. Like I say, depends also in the story because we can go and shoot in the same place probably, but because the story is demanding something different, we approach it in a different way. We put the camera in a different angle. We choose a different lens. We choose a different time of the day to shoot it, or we light it in a different way. So definitely, I think we as people that moves around, no, and different countries, you discover constantly a new ways of seeing things. The people, like you said, have is used to see it, or people is like, oh well, I'm gonna go shoot to Mexico. I wanna go and shoot in this place. And it's like, well, but it's a typical cliche of Mexico. I can show you something different
Yeah.
that has the same name, but it's never been seen. Or let me show you this part. Or like you say, I put the camera in Canada here, like, oh my God, I never seen that. It's like, well, it was there,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's also very interesting how we never end to discover. Um, and it's not just the places have the opportunity for us to work with different crews, to work with different, to get the change of cultures, the way we talk, the way we eat, the way, and get to know these places from a different perspective. It also enriches us as DP to understand what we're telling, no?
Yes. Well, basically, that's what this job gives us. It
Mm-hmm.
allows us to travel to understand different cultures, and that's amazing.
And for me, I always prefer to work with teams that are from the place that we are going,
Uh-huh.
because I feel that they know their industry better than if I bring people from outside. They can talk to me also about their experiences in the place, in their culture. And I love that. By the end of movies and series, I know their families, I have barbecues at their home, I see how they live. And I love that of our job, have this opportunity to meet so many people in the way. And I have friends from Israel, friends from all over South Africa that I have lived in my way, but at the same part, they're still part of me, where, I have learned so much just to be able to be in touch with different cultures. So I'm very thankful for that in our job too.
On the contrary, I always carry two people with me.
Which is great.
The gaffer and the first AC always, and then the rest is
I think
local,
that,
and it's and
uh-huh.
I agree with you a lot in that. But there's two people that I need with me because we created this whole. They understand my world,
Absolutely.
and
I,
that's
I think that's great.
and also they help me translate to the local crew
Mm-hmm.
what's my world, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important. But I hear you. I mean, that's it's taking the opportunity to know how other people work and how other people's life is it's one of the blessings of this job. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, maybe because I had traveled, it's very difficult for me to bring my crew, like to bring my gaffer or to bring my key grip or to bring. It hasn't happened to me yet that I have that opportunity to take part of my team anywhere I go. That it hasn't happened. So I have learned, like I said, to yeah. So of course, we interview people and everything to see if we have a good connection or how our communication skills can work. But yeah, I think in the perfect world, I would love to have that too, but it hasn't happened to me. So I have learned to work with different crews all over the world, and it's been very good for me. Sometimes not that good, but most of the time it's very good.
So, what is your process from going from paper to screen? Do you approach every movie the same, or every movie is different? I mean, do you read the script? You create pictures in your head, looks for references. I don't know. What do you do to translate those words into images?
I guess the first approach is pretty much the same. I read the script without anything, no thinking about what. No, I read the script to see if it's something that I want to do, I want to say too. Um, if it connects with me, the characters, the story, um, and that's my first approach. I read it, feel it, great. Read it for a second time, right? And then I start saying, oh, this one has a lot of experience. This one has a lot of or certain things, and I'm like, okay. And then before I start seeing anything, normally I have a meeting with the director and producer to see how we feel with each other, right? Because I believe that it's easier to work with a DP that sees closely like the director. What I mean is the vision, or when you start having the first talk, that you see the same movie or close to the same movie. Because I think it's very difficult to try to work with somebody that sees a completely different thing. And I think then it becomes, the difference in set and stuff like that. So I believe that that's what we look in that the first meeting or the first interview. After that, normally I do a visualization of the project. What I see it in terms of from aspect ratio to lighting to contrast to framing, and from there I can go either to referencing movies, but I can go to referencing paintings, to journalism, photography, to whatever that it can be that I feel that is appropriate for the story that I'm trying to visualize. Once I do that, of course, I send it to the director. The director and I exchange. Her or him send me the lookbook or the mood book, the mood board of how he or she sees the movie. And from there, we start a dialogue. And I always believe that working with a director is like falling in love. And you have to do it fast, right? Meaning is you have this encounter, you like each other, because you're going to become the most important relationship on set. And that you better have a good foundation, I feel, to be able to bring out all the creativity and all the emotion that we're trying to translate. So then it becomes a lot of talks, and we talk about movies, and then we talk about life, of parts of our life that have to do with the story. And I think that's when we feel that we really can create something unique, or we try always to do it, and that we're a good partnership to do it. I think that will be after that when I start understanding how she or him sees, how the rhythm of the camera is going to be, how the lighting is I'm starting understanding, right, how the director is seeing it. Then I start thinking about, okay, so it's going to be all, soft lighting or bounce or direct or refract, or I don't know, like whatever it is that I'm starting, and then becomes all the techniques. What tools we're going to use, the story needs. And then I start thinking in cranes and dollies or not, or handheld. And we start thinking about the narrative. It's something very important to me to have clarity in the narrative of the story. Where it's going to be. It's going to be handheld. It's going to be dollies and more classic storytelling. We want to do something more experimental. And then with all the teams, we start creating the world, right? So the production director or the production designer, the art director, wardrobe, makeup, hair, everything that involves everything, every part in the frame. So we start becoming together with ideas. We start, bringing our knowledge in whatever we do. And I think that's when we start defining what is the aesthetic, the color palette, the texture of the film or series. And after that, once I see all this and I have talked to all the head departments and I see where we want to go, then the proposal of lenses, cameras, if the sets are going to be very graphic or not, it's all straight lines, it's curved lines, what is the texture that we're looking in the film. I choose certain kind of lenses and cameras to show the director how we think, and I can show the way, but now in a more practical, realistic way. so we can, and always happen. The director is like, I don't know what lens is that, but I like that. I feel that that's the right one. And most, I will say 99% of the time it's right, even if they cannot say, oh, it's Tribes Black Wings, or it's, Pancros, Cooked Pancros, or it's Series G, the Panavision. It doesn't matter, but what it matters is how they feel about it when they are confronted with the image. And
I can't even say that
once
either.
we do that, then
I mean, do you see something that I shoot and you can say, oh, that's a Panavision lens? No.
Of course
it's
not.
like you like it or not.
Of course not.
No, do you like that feeling? Do you like that?
That's the thing.
What's in here? Yeah, so go with it. It doesn't really matter. I mean,
exactly.
it matters on the way that it's creating you a feeling, but what brand is it or what series is it? It's just
exactly. So for me, like if I have this one, or 3 choices or 4 choices, I'm also not the kind of DP that asks, Keslow to bring all the lenses out because I'm going to try them on. It's like if you have 300 ideas, at the end you don't have any.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, at that time, it's like, boom, I condense all that and I give you options. But a few ones, if not, it gets too confusing. And it's a lot of people that can have options or saying things about, oh, no, I like it more this way or this way. It's me and the director. Normally, that's what I ask. It's me and the director. We see it. We see the camera test. I want the feeling that he or she feels. And that's what it matters. That's what it matters to me. That the feels are right, that the right feeling for them. And I think that's the kind of process.
Do you feel very? I mean this in a very good way. You feel a very director's DP, like you. It feels when you watch the movies, it feels that your cinematography is very organic always, and it's very attached to the story. So, is that the right feeling I had?
Yes and no. I think I always say this because everybody says, why you don't direct? I love what we do. I really do. I admire directors because what they have to deal with that. But I have learned also, and it probably happened to you too, that because suddenly our industry became in the like of many people, it was like a boom suddenly of not just DPs, directors. Film became something now that a lot of people want to do because it's a beautiful way to express yourself. And in the time that we're living, is now with your phone and everything you can shoot, you can do a lot of things. When we starting film, nobody's studying film. We were like, what? You're going to study what? You're going to be what? Like, yeah, I'm going to study film. You study for that? It was so weird, right? To become a filmmaker. But I think I can help a lot a director, as probably every DP does. And when they start getting lost, I understand about tone. I understand about many, many things. Actors, no. Actors is something that is something that I'm very respectful. I think to be a director and dealing with actors is a craft that I'm not interested in doing. But definitely, I love to know the arc, the emotional arc of the actors. I talk to the actors. I create a close relationship with them because at the end it doesn't matter. It's about them. It's about the story and their performance and how they tell us the story. The photography is just a companion of what they're doing and what we're saying. It's not the protagonist. So I feel that I I help to the stories to be the best they can do with what I have. I have done movies for $20,000, 30,000, 100,000, whatever I have, and but my involvement is not just from the technical part. I'm always involved in the minimum, detail, as the color, the detail of the glass. When we don't have money for art, I go to the dollar store and I buy the art. Like, I don't care. And I buy elements that will enrich the scene, that will say something. I talk to the art directors and the set dressers, again, from the place of the motion. It's like, I love the set, but it looks like a set. Let's make it livable. If a family of 5 are living here, I promise you this will not look this way. And normally I'm right. Normally I'm right. It's like, and I go to Crafty and I take bread and I put the bread in the kitchen, because the mom was cooking, and they have an apple and I cut an orange and peel it. And I don't care to do that. Yeah. I love to do that because I feel it. Antonioni used to say that elements, he used to fill the set with objects and things that were important for him in the story, and then he will take them away and leave what he felt. It will tell the soul of the scene. And I believe that. Every single thing that is in my frame is because it needs to be there. If not, I take it out. And if it's there to help to tell the story, and I feel that it's not the right thing, I change it, because I come from a different part, from a different place. And it's not the director doesn't do it, don't get me wrong. But in a series, for example, I've been, except for this one that I just did, mainly the only DP. So I'm the one that takes care of the world, the one that keeps the continuity, the one that keeps the narrative. So maybe that's what you feel, that because I take the job of that, of the continuity of the world. The first time that I learned in a series that I could say no to a director because it wasn't in the Bible of the series, it wasn't the style of the series, it wasn't on the aesthetic, I was completely surprised. I was like, what do you mean I can say to a director no? My job is to say yes to every single time. If I can do it, at least I try. But it's like, no, now you are, how do you say in English when they take care of I'm sorry,
yeah, you're
I
the
forgot
gatekeeper.
the word.
You're protecting
exactly,
the storytelling.
Exactly.
Because you are the only one
exactly.
every day on that set, and you're protecting the storytelling. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, absolutely. And I have worked with a lot of first-time directors too, so without trying in a very orthodox, but of course they learn by talking with me and seeing how we can get to the point that they want and how we get to there, and ideas that I have and I propose. So yeah, maybe that's what you feel, but I don't feel a director in my soul deep in me. I'm a DP. I'm a director of photography. Also in series, more and more, but we have different directors. Directors are more like a guest. Now it's not like the director, like in a movie where we are all serving to their vision and the story. Is the showrunner, and we work for him. So I find my way now, and my job is helping the directors to get to where we want to be. It's very funny to me now the way we work, but it's still keeping the continuity through the whole 8 episodes or whatever episodes they are, with the narrative, with aesthetics, with the framing, how we go, changing because the story demands that, and the arch of the character demands that, so we start changing and evolving the narrative. But I feel that my job is maybe you feel it like that because I'm very a personality. I'm sorry, I'm very control freak. But I think we all are.
I think that you're supposed to be like that to be a DP. Otherwise, it's
exactly right.
Yeah.
We're very.
You know the first movie I watched shot by you was The Cuban, and I watched The Cuban and that's when I texted you and said, do you want to be interviewed? Because I saw that movie and I felt like the lighting was so accurate with the storytelling. I was watching it with my wife and I told her that I felt like the lighting was compassionate, which is a very difficult thing to say of lighting, but I felt it was like, oh, that's exactly what the movie needs. And it's a small movie, but it's a very heartfelt, and I feel like the lighting is heartfelt too. And I think that it's a 10 over 10. But then I kept watching your movies, and you keep making movies, even TV shows that are very social. Or most of the themes that the movies that you make are that they have this like social theme. They're So is that something that happened in your career, or is something that you are forcing into your career, that you like those kinds of stories and you're pushing yourself into those?
I think it's both, because as I was telling you, I can tell you probably from 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I have now the privilege to choose my projects. But before that, I mean, it was what it was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to support my son. I pay university, etc. So, but the funny thing is that kind of movie. And The Cuban is a movie that I made for my mother. She died of Alzheimer's, so it was like an homage for her.
Well, that I didn't know that, and that shows. It feels personal, in a way.
Yeah.
Which is and I think that is ultimately it's a goal as cinematographers, not to just translate what you have in your heart into pictures. So I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And and I have, when I did Foreverland, for example, my director was 25 years old. He lives with cystic fibrosis. And you have no idea how one day, the routine that he has to go through every day just to breathe, just to breathe. And he has this kind of voice like that. And as you probably know, until very few years, people with that illness didn't live very long.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very, he's a wonderful guy. He became my friend. And one day, Juami, he was so bad that he needed to leave the set, right? And it was his first movie. He needed to leave the set to go to the hospital. And he told me, Celi, if I can finish this film, please finish it for me. Please make it happen. Bring it to life, please.
Wow.
And I said, absolutely, you don't worry about it. So that kind of things always happen to me. Another example, I did another film called Angelique's Eye. And it's a beautiful story about survival, but also about strength, that strength that you have, but it had to come in alive when you are in a very difficult situation, and it's the survival of this indigenous woman in the early 19th century. And the things that I live in that movie, the stories of my director, which is, also an indigenous person, I needed to tell that story because I needed to help the community of believe in themselves again and have the strength to believe that they're good, and that even though they're being damaged, and the experience of these people in Canada and United States has been terrible, but they have that strength, and I believe that they can overcome it. I wanted to tell that story, because while I was shooting it, Kwame, I was shooting it in a place called Thunder Bay, and it's a very small town, 17 hours north of Toronto. I shot it in the winter time and in the summertime because the story takes place in 10 months. The winter time is minus 45 degrees below zero. Just to prove myself. I mean, I'm Mexican. When do you think I'm going to be in that weather? Yeah. Just to go through the strength of every day, and it's period, so it's exterior, it's about this woman that lives alone in this island, loses his husband, loses her baby, and it takes months and months until she reconnects and she believes in herself and her magical, and accept all her magical world that she also have is the only way that she was able to survive. And it's a true story. Every day in the newspaper, I was seeing young kids and girls committing suicide. And it just breaks my heart. So I thought, well, if I can help, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think I did. So look at me. That's why I do the movies that I do. Because I believe in us as a humanity. We have so much goodness to give. So I think that's my way of helping is through my photography, to be honest.
Nice. It's beautiful, and I tell you, it shows. I think that when you make things from your heart, that the movies have the power of just trespassing the screen and feeding the people on the other side. I think, and that's exactly the reason I wanted to talk to you, because that shows in your movies.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You're gonna make me cry now.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, but that's I think for me also, we have a responsibility, and the responsibility. I'm gonna give you an example. They offered me to do Narcos Mexico. Okay. At that moment, it was one of the biggest shows in Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great opportunity. But how can I keep feeding what is killing my country? Making drug dealers superheroes. Seeing in a series how they treat women. How they put their values in a place where it's probably the lowest part of a human being. How I can do that? I can't. I'm sorry. And I have nothing against who can do it, and I'm so glad they can, but I can't. I just can't do it. Why I didn't do commercials? I can say lies. I can't tell you selling you a juice when I know it's killing you because of the sugar. Why I cannot do political campaigns? Because I was doing a commercial where it was happening in the new women hospital, and I'm seeing indigenous people in the floor having babies and nobody attending them. And that was for me like, I'm sorry, this is not for me. I can do it. maybe, my ethics, but I just can't. So that's without, without trying, these projects comes to me. They just come to me, and I found ways to tell them. And one of the series that I did, it's called A Friend of the Family. When Nick talked to me about the series, he said, Celia, I want you to do it, and you have to do it, because I know you, and I need somebody with empathy, with compassion, and with the ethics to be dealing with this super dark subject, and to be, subtle about it. And I trust you. I trust you that you're going to put together the team that is going to work in this way, and you're going to lead it the way that you lead everything, with love and with empathy. Because we're telling a story where still the people that suffer this story are still alive. And we need to be respectful and honor them, because it's a story at the end of forgiveness and love, although we're talking about a pedophile. And that, I think, people start knowing also that about me. And that's why I think the stories comes to me. Juani, I don't look for them, they come to me. But now I did, a super action that I feel I never done that before. But it's the story of the first FBI woman in the 70s that came out of Quantico, and I found always ways to help the stories, and I understand that, right? I understand what she went through, and I understand because I went through to that, trying to be a DP, and it's not, like I always say, I can tell you horror stories about what happened to me in my past, but what I want is to know that I do a lot of other things, that I have achieved a lot of things, and I want to encourage girls and women. Believe you cannot see me in real, but I'm 5'2" and I'm 100 pounds, and it doesn't matter. I am a DP, and I carry the same camera that you do, but it's not about that. I want to show them that if you believe it, you can do it. And that's why my stories are this kind of I don't know, experiences of humanity, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Do you feel that being a female DP nowadays it's easier than what it was for you when you started? You started shooting in the 90s?
Yes, in 1995 I shot my first feature film, and in Los Angeles. I was living at that time in Los Angeles. I lived 7 years in LA, and definitely, I mean, like I say, really, 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 7 years ago, my life changed. Before, I couldn't even dream to compete. Like, I don't know how to explain, but like, that was not something in my path. I just wanted to express myself. Now, I can. In the last job, they auditioned 60 DPs. 60. Okay? What they were looking for and what they found in me that they didn't find in another 60, I have no idea. Okay? I have no idea. But I compete with DPs that I admire. That, I was like, really? Like me? Okay, great. From Peacock and Netflix, they have shows. They choose the two series that I DP to put me in the Emmys, to vote. for the ASC awards, etc. It doesn't matter if I haven't make it, but they're putting me there. That was not possible for me. Like I never saw it, and now of course I can see myself still growing and everything, but definitely, I mean, the change of now is that they accept to have a female DP. It's okay to be a female DP. That more and more, still it's a long way to go, but it's more accepted and easier now that you get a job, that you actually have the opportunity to audition where in projects that before it was not possible. So yeah, I've been, 30, since I went to film school in 87, became a second AC, first AC, and then for some reason, for a good luck, I jumped in. It's been a long road, and I'm so thankful that I'm still here to lead this change, and I know it's gonna keep going for women as DPs. And I want to be there, and I want to do anything in my power to help, to really being considered our way of looking at things, our way to approach them, and understand also, because this kind of, I love when they say, oh, the female gaze. Female gaze? Yeah. I mean, come on, right? It's like all my background is being for many years a male gaze, which is okay. I think we are starting to understand what is that gaze that we are. But as I believe more as an individual more than a gender, but okay, let's talk about it as a gender. I think we're gonna get there, but we're not still there, to be honest, because they still ask for, you have no idea how many times I have to try to change the way that we have learned to see women in film, right, or in TV. The approach of how a sexy woman needs to be photographed. The sexiest woman that I know in my life, the most powerful woman that I know in my life, they are knowing high heels, short skirts, and big, open blouses. And every time that I propose, please, let's change the dialogue of you start in the shoes, you go to the leg, you go to the butt, and then you go. Why? Why that is being known as that's a sexy woman? And, I'm getting my little sand steps. But when a director says, you're right, Shelly, what you're proposing? Well, why we don't do this? Why we don't see her in this way? And it just is baby steps. But I hope to help to get in a place where we are seeing as females in film and TV series and whatever in a different way, in a different approach. Get out of these cliches, get out of these archetypes, and being human, that we have conversations, real conversations. But how do we photograph that?
I think that's not going to change until. I think that's not going to change until half of the directors are female and half of the DPs are female. Honestly, we are half of the humanity is female. So the minute that we have enough photographers and enough directors and enough production designers and enough producers, then when that's gonna start changing.
Yeah.
And my daughters will go watch a movie that has not only my point of view but yours too, and they will be able to choose. So that I don't know why it doesn't happen in the movies, because in art you go to a gallery and half of the paintings are female, or even photographs, but it doesn't happen in the movies. I just don't know the answer. But until that doesn't happen, it's going to be a long journey, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just so happy that it's happening. That
absolutely.
you are conscious about it. The producers also, and like you say, we're gonna get there. And like I say always, when we stop talking about female DPs, male DPs that we are not talking about, that's when we're gonna be there.
Correct.
That's when I believe we're gonna be there.
Correct.
Because this thing is that I'm more sensitive than you. It's not true.
No.
I'm sensitive in my way because I'm Celiana and you're Juami. That's it.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything else. And you don't DP worse babies because you are a male and I'm a female. No. Or I do cards worse than you because I'm a female. No. Our sensibilities are different because we're two individuals.
Yeah. Either you have talent or you don't, or you're sensible or you're not, or you're a filmmaker or you're not. That's it. Absolutely. So
exactly.
What will you say to what advice will you give to a 16-year-old girl now that wants to be a DP?
The advice will be, I think, two things. One is, if you believe that that's what you're going to do, prepare for it. Prepare how? Prepare in a way that your strength, but also your integrity, you don't compromise your being to become. And I'm telling you this, Juami, because I'm learning right now at this moment in my life that all the mistreated that I had in my life, all the people that didn't believe that I was able to become, that they thought that I will never make it. I'm talking to you, and I'm so thankful to have this conversation with you. That if it wasn't for many things that I did, from physically, mentally, emotionally, prepare myself, I will not be able to talking to you right now. And I know it sounds very abstract, my advice, but it's not abstract. When I think I was a dancer from 6 to 17, a ballerina, that discipline, that aiming, that clarity, that strength in my body has allowed me to do my job without hurting myself, without hurting my back, without hurting my shoulders. The clarity, the determination that I had to become, it has prepared me to deal with everything that I had dealt in my path, with different people and personalities, with directors, with producers. Emotionally be prepared, be clear, be centered, and don't sacrifice yourself for any in the world. You have to learn that the most important thing is you. And it's no project, no movie, no series more important than that. I'm learning that right now and realizing all that. And it's important to have clarity, integrity, and strength. To me, strength in all possible ways. The second advice that I will say is observe. Observe. Right now, I feel that the kids, 16-year-olds, everything is here.
Yeah.
in this, and through this you can experience life. You can't experience life. You are not able to have a moment of observing the light in the window and how it hits the floor and bounces and what it does. The rain, go to a museum, see paintings, see photography, see life in front of you. Be aware of I don't know, maybe I'm too old, to give these advices, but it's true. One of the big moments of learning for me are being those moments of observation, of being aware of where you are and what's happening with the light and the shadow. And I don't know, maybe they don't do that anymore. They want to learn everything in 2 seconds, in 3 seconds in TikTok, and they think they are DPs, no? And because they have shot tech and they can take a tutorial in YouTube of, this is the way to shoot, this is the best way to do. Well, if that was true, then what you and I have done the last 30 years, right? But I think to be still, to see, to be able to observe, to see a painting and really observe it, and to really see the colors and the way that the brush was moved and created the contrast in that painting. If you don't have the time to do that, then how you're going to understand what you need to do? So is that the observation and to be completely aware that the decision that you're going to take, and you can do it, but it requires different skills than many other jobs, to be honest with you. Or I have realizing that for me.
It does require many skills.
Is that a good advice?
Yeah, well, it is, and at the very least, it's your advice, and based on your experience and your career, and you've proven to have. You were telling before about all these cool series and stuff that you're shooting now. That is the direct reaction on how you handle your career. Being, I'm not doing this because I don't agree with that. I'm gonna put myself before the industry, and that's now the results are coming. So that's not a random thing that happens. So, yeah, you're a great person to give advice, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel very, very thankful and grateful, right now.
I wanna ask you about 2 projects of you that are a friend of the family and a brand new cherry flavor. Brand new cherry flavor is something. It's something absolutely out of what you have done before. It's I don't know if it's out of your wheelhouse or not. I don't know if you're a fan of horror or not, but you haven't shot that before, at least as long as I know. And you did a beautiful job. To me, you managed to keep your your style as a cinematographer, this naturalism and this beauty, into a horror film, which is I think it's very complicated. How did you feel into shooting that genre?
You're absolutely right. Horror is not something that but here is the thing. Years before Brand New Cherry Flavor, the showrunner, Nick Antosca, looked for me to DP his first series called Channel Zero. They were shooting in Winnipeg. And Nick and I, we talked and everything. We got along very well, blah, blah, but the studio didn't approve me at that moment. 3 years later, Nick came back and looked for me again. Nice. Sally, I have this project, and I have done at this time Digstown. So they approved me, right? Universal approved me, and when I read the script, I was like, whoa, this is crazy, right? It's like, what? A woman puking cats, right? So
Very
when
impressive.
I talked to Nick about it, he told me, yeah, and if I have to tell you, everything that you saw doing that is real. It's not a visual effect. She actually put the thing in his mouth, and it's real.
Wow.
Which it was like amazing to me with Rosa. But when I talk to Nick, I say to him, for me, it's like a horror fairy tale. I couldn't put like really where, but then it became very gore and etc. But I don't want to approach it from the same place that everybody will approach it. I think it's like, it will be like this. I say, well, why we don't do something different? And then with the director that I have, Arkash and Stevenson, there is the director of the pilot or the first episode. She is incredibly visual and has great ideas for visuals. And it was, I don't know how to explain you, Juan, but it was liberating to do brownie cherry flavor, because it was like, and I have said this in other interviews, like, if she's puking cats, what I cannot do in lighting.
Exactly.
Right? So I just went crazy.
You can do anything.
And it was so liberating. I combined colors, textures, lightings, and then Nick wanted a very David Lynch kind of thing. If you notice, I actually have some shots that are an homage to him. But it really, I say to me in that moment, it's like, well, this is out of my comfort zone. This is not what I normally do, but I want to see what I can do. I want to, challenge myself and see what it comes out of it. And what a big surprise for me. That series brought me UTA as my agency. They looked for me after the series. Is now one of the jobs that I have done. The people recognize me more from it. And I'm very happy because I think I served the story in a way that I never done in the matter of the craziness of the story, and it worked. And I took, like I said, files that I didn't know that I had, and I put them in practice, and the challenge that I did as a DP, it brought great results to me, and I think it's a very unique series of the way that is the story, the narrative of the series, and not the look of the series. I think it's something very unique that I'm very proud of it.
You should be, yeah. And the other one is a friend of the family. Before I watched it, I saw the trailer, and I saw it without sound for some reason. I knew nothing about the friend of the family. I watched the trailer, and it looked like a comedy to me. And then you watch the series. I mean, the look of it. I mean, it's very cozy. It's very warm. It's very nostalgic. It's very beautiful. But the story you're telling is the opposite. And I love that. I did love that. When I watched the series, I was like, oh my God, this is instead of highlighting the idea, you are just, in a way, you make the story harder with your looks. I think you made it harder to watch, which is fantastic.
I think exactly. It was such a, like we say, it was such a dark subject. I have people that didn't want to come and work in the series because it was very heavy, and I completely respect that. So to me, we start in a time in this family of innocence, right? the kids. And if you look how progressed the series start going darker, darker and darker. The house changing contrast. Everything start changing as he start taking control on this family, right? So I have two sisters. We are three sisters, just like the story. And I was like, okay, 70s. Okay. What did you will expect from the 70s? Ektachrome, Kodachrome, high, contrast color, very primary colors. And I'm like, and I went and I took my pictures from when I was a kid.
Oh, nice.
My pictures. And the Polaroids, I watched the movies that my dad took of us. I watched all my pictures. And I was like, the feeling of a kid losing the innocence and how I see it and how I can make it happen, no? So talking with the director, of course, which is an amazing director, right? Liza Hitman. I talk about this. I got like, I know I'm from Mexico, and the 70s in the Mexico maybe was very different in the United States, but this is what I live. This is what I remember of my childhood, and that year I was born in 1966. So by 72, I was 6 years old, and can I bring this? Can I put this in the table? And because they wanted to go in the other direction, like I say, the Ektachrome, the red. And I said, can I bring this? Because I feel that it can help to make the transition in the story. The story takes during many years. So if we start with pastels and more mid colors, if you notice, are no red, are not the typical colors, and then we start mutating as she starts growing up and she starts changing and getting abused, and also getting start losing herself. And they loved the idea. So that's what I went for it. And I think it's harder and darker to not show how explicit he abused of her, but the idea that we create in your head.
Yeah.
By creating this world when you don't see anything, but everything is said in. You feel there is something dark underneath. You feel that even though the images is like very puppy and everything, it's something underneath that. It's something that start making you feel uncomfortable. And as the story progresses, you start understanding why it's so uncomfortable. No, so. I'm also very happy and that Nick called me for this project, and that it worked. It was really because the normal thing will be to go in the opposite way, right? Because of the matter of the story. But I thought, thinking is that's what I think more than the horror of the story itself. When I met the real Jan, real person, and the mother, and it's a story about forgiveness and love. Because how you can forgive your parents after what happened, right?
Yeah.
How you can forgive yourself, your parents? How? And it's a story of love and compassion and forgiveness, and that's what I saw beyond the story for me, like beyond the pedophile controlling the family and all the horrible things, is what happened to this family at the end. So that's what I thought it was the right choice. It was the right choice, and the horrible will be more horrible because it's underneath. It's not, you can see it, but it's there. But the beauty of the family is what saved them. No, the love of this family, and that's what I went for it.
I think that normally when one thinks out of outside of the box is when one is thinking right, because if there's 5,000 DPs shooting that TV show, and you're the one thinking away from the other 4,999, you are the right person for sure. And also, I think that's great filmmaking. Just not telling the stories in your face, but just creating layers and layers and layers and layers for the audience to work themselves into the story. That's fantastic. Well,
Thank you.
Celiana, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí conmigo. Thank you very much. It's been a fantastic conversation. You made me cry a bunch of times.
Thank you. It wasn't my intention, I promise you, but now you can see it.
Well,
Thank you. No, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. I hope really, Juani, that we meet in person. I would love to meet you in person and give you a big hug. And you're such a wonderful guy. And I know life will give me the opportunity maybe to come and see you. And I promise you that whenever I'm there, I will look for you. And thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, an honor, and I'm so thankful for your time to
likewise,
get to know me a little
amazing.
bit.